Hi family, it's Marv, OneRepAtATime.net. Brand new exercise tutorial video for you today about the Bulgarian Split Squat. Oh, I love me some split squats. With all of our exercise tutorial videos, I highly encourage you, let me show you the setup, the coaching points, the mental cues, tips, tricks, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to show you how to do that, demonstrate the exercise, and then until you feel confident and competent to do this exercise on your own, I highly encourage you to do your first few warm-up or even working sets with me in your ear, so to speak, because I'm going to coach you through it together until you get this exercise down. Now, what you're going to use is either like a bench, obviously, or if you're at a gym, a platform, a box, if you're at home, a chair, a couch, whatever you're going to do. If it's not fixed, I highly encourage you to weight it down. So on this bench, I have two 25-pound plates set on top of it to make sure the bench does not go anywhere. So the last thing you need to do is be doing some pretty aggressively weighted or just pushing yourself intense split squats and have that back bench move. You're going to be potentially doing the splits. It's not very comfortable, so always weight it down if it's not a fixed bench in a gym or at home, whatever you have access to. So, similar to a lunge, we're going to go over the stance, and then I'm going to go over how to use weights with it if you're doing it as a corrective exercise or a weightlifting exercise, and then the most athletic movement there is, in my opinion. So, like a lunge, the further away the stride length I take from the bench, the more of my glutes I'm going to emphasize. And the shallower or the shorter my stride length, the more of the quads I'm going to emphasize. It's not like you're only isolating them. I love this exercise because it hits all three parts of the leg, glutes, hamstrings, and quads at the same time. But you can play around with it. Same with torso angle, is meaning if I'm really leaning super far forward, I'm getting a little extra emphasis on my glutes. If I'm really, really upright, I'm getting more emphasis on my quads, so that's something to play around with. Again, when it comes to your back foot, you have a couple options. For when you're doing, there is such thing as a jumping weighted Bulgarian Split Squat. When I'm doing the jumping version, I always want my back foot kind of using it for leverage. As you start out, you use it for leverage. Some people like to put it up top right here. That just be cautious because the last thing we need is your foot to slide off. You're going to fall. If we're getting really technical, a true Bulgarian Split Squat is the top of my back foot is merely resting on the top like that. And it's only for balance, so we don't want to be pushing off of this back foot. We want our front leg doing most of the work. So play around with it. See what feels best for you. And also, ankle mobility is a big issue. So if your ankles do not allow you to get this full, nice, big, deep bend and stretch, then you might have to either put it on the edge or do that top placement as well. And that's why it's so damn important to be weighting down the bench or the platform, whatever you're doing, so it doesn't get knocked over. When it's time for you to add weight, please never do these with a barbell on your back. Similar to step-ups, I just don't like the idea of having a bar on your back, on your spinal column. Do them with dumbbells. And when you're ready to do this as like a strengthening exercise or a balancing exercise, do it with two dumbbells. But if this is a corrective exercise, say that we've discovered that, you know, your side butt muscle, for lack of a better word, you know, your stabilizers are not very strong or weak, they're atrophied or they don't get them to fire, you will start with a single weight. You'll put that weight on the same side of the leg that you are using. That way, your stabilizers are having to fire to keep your hips nice and level. Otherwise, hips are going to drop willy-nilly. You're going to lose your balance like that. So if it's a corrective exercise, the dumbbell is on the same side of the front knee that's bent and doing all the work. And that's going to force your stabilizers to work and get overtime. So when you're doing the squat, similar to squats in general, we're driving up through our heels. I don't want the weight on the balls of my feet. I want the weight on my heels driving up, and picture, you know, putting your knee outward. So it's similar to if I did a regular squat, you picture spreading the floor. I want to be kind of adding an outward force on my knee, preventing my knee from caving in. Because if you do a squat and your knee starts caving in, one, it's not comfortable, and two, something could happen. So it prevents your knees from caving in. The more you do these, the stronger your quads will get, your stabilizers will get, so we don't have to worry about that. So you're driving up through your heels and you're adding a little outward force to your knee. When it's time to add two weights, let me backtrack. I personally will pick up the weights and then carefully bring my leg back and then get into my squat. When you're first starting out, I highly encourage you to figure out what stance you're gonna take, whether it's a big stride or a shallower stride. Put your back foot up, drop down, and then grab the weights. Okay, because if you're leaning back with the weights, boom, if you're not used to this exercise, you're gonna have the world's best balance. You could miss, it could be wrong. So play around with it. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm just starting out to where here's my stride length. I'm taking a shallower stride. I'm gonna put my back foot flat, the top of my back foot flat on the pad. Then when I squat down, my back knee needs to drop down and back. My back knee drops down and back. Now see how I get a nice 90-degree bend right here. I'm blasting my legs. I'm gonna pick up the weight, drive up to my heels, and then outward force of the knees. Breathing is as follows. Breath in on the way down, back knee drops back and down, drive up through the heels, a little bit of outward force, breathe out. Breath in, drive up through the heels, breath out. Breath in, drive up through the heels, breath out. Breath in, drop down, back knee, back and down, drive up, spread, breath out. Here is a variation of the Bulgarian Split Squat, which in my opinion is the ultimate athletic move. So you, for somebody who needs to develop a lot of athleticism, this is the way to do it. It is the jumping weighted Bulgarian Split Squat. So you're gonna have a farther stride length because my back foot is not gonna be flat. It's gonna use it for a little bit of leverage. So that exercise looks something like this. So breath in, jump up, spring up, jump, breath in, jump up, breathe out, spring up, jump in, breath in, not jump in. It's hard to do that enough, let alone talk, but you get the point, right? So back foot is leverage, your wider stance, you're squatting down and then you're jumping off the ground. As you explode up, you will get a lot of athleticism. So that's how to do a split squat. Whew, a little winded after that. Let's do our first warm up or working set. Okay, so we're gonna put the weights to where we want the stride length. So set the weights where we need to be. Let's do a foot, the top of my foot flat on the back of the pad or the bench, and that way when I drop down, my knees will drop down, so my quads are being a little emphasized. Your glutes will get hit, but not so much. So we're nice and tall, we got that stride length figured out. We're gonna drop down, pick up those weights, go to the starting position. Breath in on the way down, back knee drops down and back, drive up through the heels, outward force, exhale. Inhale, drop down, knee drops down and back, drive up through the heels, spread, exhale. And when I say spread, I mean that outward force with your knees. Drop down, breath in, drive up through the heels, spread, exhale. Drop down, back knee drops back and down, drive up through the heel, exhale. Breath in, knee drops back and down, heels, exhale. Resist the urge, unless you're trying to specifically emphasize your glute, to lean forward. Drop down, exhale on the way up, good. Back knee back and down, drop down, drive up through the heels, spread, exhale. Breath in, drop down, drive up, spread, exhale. Breath in, drop down, knee back and down, drive up, spread, exhale. 3 more, family. Knee drops back and down as we come into the hole, drive up to the heel, spread, exhale. 2 more. Inhale, breathe in, heels, spread, exhale. Very last one. You're doing great. Drop down, knee back and down, drive up through the heel, spread, exhale. Carefully set the weights down, and that, family, is how you do Bulgarian Split Squats 1 rep at a time.